Hey everyone, it's Will the Whiskey Bugger, and I have a whiskey pairing guide for successful fishing trips. We all know the drill. You get out in the water and you want a little refreshment. You had a couple cold beers, but sometimes you want a little whiskey to take it up a notch. So here is the ultimate guide to pairing whiskey with your fishing trip so you can maximize the amount of fun you're going to have out there on the water. So first, you're going to be out there. Maybe you're mixing it with something like a Coke. Maybe you're having a little cocktail. Maybe just sipping it neat, but it's a really hot day. You're going to go with something like Eagle Rare. So this is a 90 proof bourbon from Buffalo Trace. A little bit harder to find, but it's still a top-notch. You get 10-year age-stated whiskey, and you get out there on the water. Runs about $35, and that proof, you're going to be able to drink a little bit more on it throughout the day as opposed to some of the higher proof stuff. And so I think it's a really good choice for a long day of fishing, a long time out on the water that you're going to casually be sipping on throughout the day. Next, I'm going to bring you the Workhorse. Now, this is a very versatile bourbon. It's also a very cost-effective bourbon, and that is Old Grandad Bottled in Bond. This is about $25 for a liter. So if you're getting a 750, it's even cheaper than that. But it's a delicious bourbon. It's made by Jim Beam. It's got some of those earthy notes. Also, I love the theming of the Old Grandad, as so many of us have those fond memories of fishing with our grandparents out there, getting on the river, getting on the lake, and catching a lot of fish. It's a little tribute to someone who you may have grown up with fishing, and maybe they had a little Old Granddad with them themselves. At 100 proof, it stands up good in a cocktail, but it has great enough flavor that you can just sip on it neat, and you're really going to enjoy it. So that's my number 2 pick, Old Grandad Bottled in Bond at 100 proof. Next, maybe you want something with a little more flavor, not just a whiskey flavor. Maybe you like rye whiskey. So this is my pick for kind of the spicing it up a little bit. And I'm going with Bone Snapper Rye. This is actually a barrel pick from a local liquor store, Fairview Wine and Spirits. Shout out to Don, also a fisherman himself. But this one's actually finished in used rum barrels. So you get some of the spice from the rye, but some of the sweetness from those used rum barrels. It's really, really pleasant, especially even if it's out in the heat. You're getting flavor, you're getting a little bit of that rum, something maybe you're used to drinking out in the sunshine. This one is a really good pick if you want to spice it up a little bit. What happens when you get skunked? You had a long day on the water and just no fish were biting. Or maybe you hooked into a record bass and it broke off your tippet right as it was getting near your drift boat, your kayak, or the shore. Or maybe you didn't bring your net and it broke off because you were just fumbling around in the water trying to catch it. You're going to need something to drown your sorrows. That's why I'm going with an old classic, Booker's Bourbon. It's high proof. This one specifically, this is one from 2019. It's 124.7 proof, 6 years, 4 months. It is one of the boldest bourbons on the market. They made a name for themselves for uncut bourbon. They were doing it long before a lot of people were giving you higher proof options. So Booker's, always good to drown the sorrows and make you forget about all those missed fish and missed opportunities out on the water. And finally, what happens when you do land a record fish? Or if you're just slaying them left and right all day? Or you're with a friend and you want to make a memory? You got to reach for something special. So there are many things that this could be. This is just one that I love. I think it's very special. It runs you about $100, but it's 2XO. So this one is specifically the Phoenix blend. This was the original release from 2XO. It is blended by my good friend Dixon Dedman, formerly of Kentucky Owl. Now he's out on his own, doing his own thing, and everything he does is gold. For a premium bottle, $100, not that bad. They've had at least 4, maybe 5 releases now, so you can typically find them if you go to a nicer store that specializes in bourbon. And like I said, that $100 for a nice bottle these days, not really that bad. But this is something that's great to celebrate with, make a memory with, and it's also not really going to break the bank when it gets to specialty bourbon. Now, that's the 5. You've got, you're easing into it with the Eagle Rare at 90 proof. You got your Workhorse, the old granddad bottled in bond. You got your spicing it up a little bit with the bone snapper, uncut rye, finished in rum barrels. You got your drown your sorrows with the Bookers, and you have your special occasion celebratory pour with the 2XO. Specifically, this was the Phoenix blend, but any of the 2XO releases I think could fall in that category. There's two other things I suggest you take with you to really, really ensure that this whiskey tasting on the river is going to just be top notch. And I don't like to take glass out on the river. I don't want it to get broken. I don't want it to end up cutting someone later. And I also don't want to lug around plastic. So get yourself a good flask. Take a flask with you. This one is hand hammered pewter. This is like an heirloom flask. Any hip flask will do. Fill it up. Take the whiskey with you. And also, you're probably not going to overindulge if you limit how much is actually with you instead of the whole bottle. Now, also, glassware. Are you going to be drinking right out of the flask? No, you're civilized. You want to drink out of a proper tasting glass. But you're not going to take a Glencairn. You're not going to take a rocks glass because of the aforementioned glass that could break and cause problems for people down the line. So what do I suggest you get? The Snoot Neat Glass. This is, I believe it's aluminum or steel. It's double walled. This one's in like a matte green kind of color, but I think they have a black and maybe another color as well. It's beautiful. It's got the kind of beveled shape here that looks very much like a Glencairn, and it allows you to really get the bouquet of the bourbon, really nose it, taste it properly, even when you're outdoors. It's not going to break. Easy to wash. You can throw it in the dishwasher, and these are cheap. I think I got it on Amazon. So check out the Snoot Neat Glass. Get yourself a flask. Take some of these whiskeys with you on your next fishing trip to ensure a proper whiskey tasting while out on the water. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below letting me know what whiskey you would take on your fishing trip. Did I leave anything out? Did I get it completely wrong? You tell me. And thanks again for watching. I'm the Whiskey Bugger.